Welcome everyone. Just gonna start our TikTok live. Okay, we're on both TikTok and YouTube. So welcome in everybody. Maybe some time to get in. Get all the volume stuff worked out. Hello everyone. Hello, Soaring Eagle Woman. How are you tonight? How's everybody? Since that. Happy Thursday. How's everybody today? Good morning. Tonight we're gonna do love bundles and we're going to talk about creating an abundance energy. Today is Thursday. Where are you joining us from? Don't be shy. Aw, I know, it's been a while. I'm trying to do lives every day now at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you can join in, join in. Hi, Tara, how are you? All right, I'm just trying to figure out why there's a delay. Okay. Good evening. So how have you been, Soaring Eagle? Here in California? How's the weather? I'm in Colorado. It's getting cold over here. So I kind of admire California right now. Sweet surrender. So how's everybody doing? How was your Thursday? Any big news? I'm going to create a candle here and we'll do a candle blessing. And then we'll see where the night takes us. Oh, it stopped raining? Oh, that's good news. I know you guys got a lot of rain out there. Wow. Well, I'm glad it stopped. I know you needed it though, right? We needed it. Oh, you're going to get ready for ceremony? Oh, nice. Nice. That's a lot of work, huh? I love ceremony, but that's the one thing people don't understand is how much work is involved in creating a ceremony. It's rewarding, but very time consuming. What kind of ceremony are you doing? Are you doing a sweat lodge or? One computer, I can't see my comment. Our rain gives you snow. So it was you who gave me the snow. Actually, we just got the snow mostly melted from like a month ago. We had a big, huge snowstorm and it was like piles of ice like that. And there's still piles of ice like that some places, but because it would snow, then freeze, then defrost, then snow, then freeze. And it was just like a whole cycle of that for like a month. And we finally got some 50-degree weather and it cleared that out. And then, of course, we're about to get a cold spell again next week. It's already coming in now. I was outside and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cold. Why is it so cold? So It left your area and now it's coming here. Mm, but we need the moisture for sure. We're super dry here. So how's everybody tonight? We got California in the house. Where else are you joining us from? Where is everybody coming from? I have some. Oh, you're going to Sundance? Oh, okay. Indiana. Oh, hi, Indiana. How's the weather over there? What's going on in Indiana? What's the temperature? What's the climate? What's going on? Oh, New Mexico. Oh, you're just right next door. Actually, New Mexico is one of my favorite states. On my father's side, that they're all from New Mexico. Washington State. Hello, Washington. How's it going over there? Are you guys getting rained out? You know, I need to make it over there to Oregon and Washington. I have a client who wants me to do a ceremony over there. I'll be 70 in a few months and I'm still dancing. Dancing Sundance this year. Yeah, that Sundance will keep you young. You know, the Sundance, most of the elders I know who run the Sundance, they're in good shape. They're in really good shape. That's not an easy dance. That's not an easy ceremony. Kansas, you used to live in Arizona, really? That's quite the change, yeah. Kansas. My cat came from Kansas. I've never been there, but I heard that there's some incredible energy there though. In Kansas, that emerald energy. I don't know what they call it, but it's the emerald from what is it? There's a city, I think. New Jersey. Wow. Shante. Nice. I like all those sevens. Coming from New Jersey. I've never been. I used to live in New York City, but I don't think I really went to New Jersey too much, just to pop in and out. But welcome. 35-mile-per-hour winds and some rain. Wow, that's pretty powerful there. That sounds like you need to stay inside. You know? Wow, that's good meditating and working with the thunder beings energy. We had a beautiful sunny cool day, no shoes and socks. Wow, in Washington? That's nice. That's really nice. You live in Greeley, Colorado? Oh, and you lived on the reservation in Pine Ridge. Oh, no, Pine Ridge. I have some friends from Pine Ridge. Wow, ain't that something? Pine Ridge, I'm trying to think. Do you know grandmother Rita? Or not? Is it grandmother Rita? Unchi Rita? You know Unchi Rita? She's still there. A lot of people I know left Pine Ridge, but she's one of my mentors. She's like 90 now. I think she's 90 or 91. But that's awesome. Sorry, Nico. Really? Yeah, I think if you came to Greeley now, you probably wouldn't recognize it because I don't recognize it. You start out by cutting candy and sweets and soda to prepare your body for ceremony. That's good. Okay. Oh, you're finally catching. Aw, I'm glad you're catching me, Gypsy. I'm glad to see you. How are you doing tonight? Cutting out candy and all that stuff. What's this month? February? I didn't know they did Sundances in February. I know in Arizona they do a Sundance sometime in the summer. I haven't made it out to that one yet. And the funny thing about technology is it'll work one way and then it won't work another way. So my computer's frozen tonight. I'm doing good, Gypsy. You gave up sugar 4 days ago? Good for you. I find it's interesting because everybody who's coming on is talking about giving up stuff. It must be fasting season or quitting season or something. Somebody's talking about giving up smoking, and now you're talking about giving up candy and sugar and all that stuff. And yeah, they do that around Easter, right? Is it Lent or something like that too? I can't remember. I like it. You just quit your last medication? Oh, that sounds like good news. No more medicines? I hope I hope you're feeling better. I have 1,001 hair ties every year since wow, that's amazing. That's hard. That's hard to put up like that many to do consistently. That's good for you. That takes a lot of time, patience, dedication, and a good, healthy mind to do that many prayer ties. It's not easy. I had a friend, she bought all this like material and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna make all these prayer ties and I'm gonna try to be like our this grandmother who was talking about it. And I was like, yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about. Because anybody who knows that knows that's difficult. Oh, I prayed under deep wells after, and it also chiefly and people fall. Oh, nice, awesome. Lent, you're supposed to give up something that you love for 40 days and nights. Yeah. And then so like if you do Lent and you give up stuff for 40 days and 40 nights, when you do you crave it like after, then you like run back to it. Oh, you just started keto? Oh, let me know how that goes. I don't know if I could do keto. I wanted to thank you for being here. TikTok is silly, but you have inspired. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you for sharing that, Marge. I know it's hard for me sometimes. So when you say stuff like that, it gives me more inspiration and courage and all that stuff. I got to roll, but I popped in to support and love you. Oh, thank you so much for popping in and supporting. Yeah, I'm starting to be here and I'll be here. My philosophy, and this has always been my philosophy in my healing work, is as long as one person comes, I'll be here. I'm not Catholic, but I have gave up stuff during it. And yes, day 41, it's all that would be me. I'd be like, yeah, for 40 days and then day 41, all that sugar's coming. Oh, you got your bundle today? Oh, let the love begin. That's funny. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's why you start so early because not eating for 4 days. I know, right? Oh, this Sundance is intense though, because you're not eating, you're not drinking, you're dancing, you're sweating, you're like, it's intense. I remember I did Sundance in South Dakota one time, and I was like, man, you guys are something else. But it was incredible. It's an incredible experience. But life starts at 3 a.m, and then we have to dress and line up at sunrise. Yeah. Yeah, those were long days. When I go to the Hopi ceremonies, the Kachina dances, they're in the kiva like all day, all night. Like they come out and they dance, and it's like 100-degree weather, and it's the desert, and it's just this blazing hot sun, and you're in full regalia. I don't know how they do it. And they're embodying those kachinas. It's an out of this world experience being in that presence of that energy like that. And it's like the Sundance is just that incredible energy of sacrifice and connection and beautiful blessings. And think that's amazing. Yeah, it's not easy. Ceremony is not easy, especially those types of ceremonies when there are multiple days and you're doing stuff in the hot sun. Oof. How's everybody? What's going on? If you're just joining the live, we're just starting. Tonight, I'm gonna prepare a love bundle, and if you'd like a love bundle, the love bundles are like this. I think today is gonna be my last day of doing them online, and then I'll do them throughout. I'm developing a schedule, so every day is gonna be something different. So as I develop this, people will know, oh, today is meditation day, or tomorrow is this, or like what you're interested in. Because I do so many different things that it's hard to just do one thing all day, every day. Oh, you do vision quests also? Wow. I have 3 family members that are going with me this year. Oh, nice. That's nice. That's nice when you have people joining. Because you're not going there alone and stuff. Makes it easier. And sometimes harder. It depends on the family members. But so I'm preparing a candle right now. I'm putting some clove energy in and some copal. So I'm going to invite some ancestors to join everybody. And I want you to think about, right now, what is your prayer? What would you like help from the spirit world? Where, this last full moon was super powerful. Did anybody feel that full moon powerful energy? Massive changes. And if you were on last night's live, we talked about how today we're in a new beginning. So I don't know who was here last night. Anybody feel that new beginning energy? I got an email from someone who said, they were feeling it. Maybe some of you forgot. It's easy to do, right? And I'm just gonna send some sage. This is some sage blessings. I hope you can see it. There you go. And just, feel the smoke. Part of the reason I'm doing these lives is because for a long time, the spirits have been telling me, like, I need to come on this this technology that I've been avoiding. And another reason was because I wanted to start something called the healing room. And I don't know, it has its own energy and it'll take on its own frequency. But the healing room, my intention around it is that people would come into the room and get healings. So I'll do different things and you can receive healing. So in this weekend, I'm going to start offering medium readings. But the way that the medium readings are going to be is spirit-led. So I'm going to connect to the spirit first, and then I'm going to give the opportunity for the person to step forward with that, whose spirit that is. Like, so say your grandmother comes in or whoever, and that's how they'll go. So it won't be me picking people, it'll be spirit picking people. And so I'm going to try that out and see how that goes. I do that a lot in ceremony and of course on one-on-one readings, but I haven't ever done it like on a TikTok live, so to say, like that. But I'm going to do that this weekend. And then I'm going to sit down and pray and meditate and come up with a schedule. So, and then I'll announce it on my feed. And if you're not here, you can go to my, what I call it, YouTube. I have a YouTube channel and you can find it in the link in my bio and you can watch lives. Because right now we're on TikTok and YouTube. So I have the ability so that you can go on to YouTube later and you can watch this live. When? It'll be Saturday. If it's like I was telling people yesterday, you're kind of my guinea pigs. So I'm gonna, get better at it, of course. And it's gonna be a regular thing. It's gonna be regular. And when I have my schedule, you'll see when it is. But my goal right now is just to get on here every day at 8 p.m. and get used to this. Makes sense? Do I do healing for anxiety? The last couple of years, mine has been bad and making my neck tighten. Yeah. Yeah. Anxiety, depression, sadness, whatever. I could do a special bundle for you if you like a prayer bundle, like a see, because when you get the love bundle, you don't just get the love bundle, you get a ceremony packet that has it has everything you need to do a ceremony for yourself. And then if you tell me, oh, I want an anxiety bundle, I'll make a special salt for you to do a spiritual bath. I'll make the bundle all for you, for your anxiety. And for anxiety, I would include a worry doll and how to work with that and, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. And then, I'll be doing meditation Monday. I know that on the schedule. What time? Oh, yeah, definitely. Just, you can email me or reach out to me. Okay? What time? It'll be 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Everything I'm doing right now is 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time because that seems to be the time for me where my life is the quietest. That I can, I can focus on this, and I usually work in the nighttime anyway. A lot of times I do my rituals and prayers and special ceremonies for people is usually closer to midnight a lot of times. So I have this kind of break in my schedule from around 8 to 10 usually. And so I'm just going to get into that. And then, there'll be special times too where I can maybe come in the morning or something like that if I have some time and I'm, spirit's like, yeah, you need to get on. But part of the reason why I feel like 2023 is the year I'm finally doing this, because I've been guided to do this for probably like 10 years. And I've started and stopped and started and stopped and started and stopped because for me, I prefer in-person ceremonies. I prefer in-person stuff. But of course, after 2020, everything changed, right? And I had been already on Zoom and doing those kind of things. But now with the way TikTok is and the way the world is working, it's like healing is, I feel, what more people need. Real healing. And something that I feel especially passionate and strong about for this year is we need to do healing with the earth. Like Soaring Eagle Woman was talking about, she's going to Sundance and that kind of stuff is needed more. Maybe we won't all be able to go to like a Sundance or a ceremony, but what I would like to do is help people to create their own ceremonies, their own rituals, their own prayers, their own things, and to support you as you're going through this year, because this year is, and this time we're living in is not easy. Not easy. How you're talking about anxiety. I think anxiety for most people is through the roof because of all the changes that we're having to deal with and to manage and cope with from, the economy the way it is, from the healthcare system the way it is, from education the way it is. Everything in our world is stressed and more stressful than I think ever. I don't know the last time it was this stressful. And, I remember, probably a lot of you remember when 9/11 happened and how the world changed at that time. And then, then we had the 2008 housing crisis thing. And then now we have the pandemic. And then the pandemic was just the beginning of a huge shift. And the bigger problem with it is I think that, we're just having to manage. A lot of times there's very little support out there for a lot of people. And especially for me, I think the problem is like, there are people who can pay for healings and do stuff like that, but there's a large percentage of people who can't. I have done lives with my daughter-in-law for about 5 months. You have? Well, how's it going? I'll have to check you out. I'm not really on TikTok a whole lot. But I'll go to your page and I'll check you out. When are you on live? Let me know. don't know. What do you guys think about like TikTok and lives and how long have you been on here? Like share your experiences with me because TikTok, I didn't really get it for a very long time. I thought it was about dancing. I thought TikTok was just for dancing and trends and silly sounds and this and this. And then as I dug a little more into it, I found really good lives and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And people, were engaging and stuff. And then I don't know, then my FYP page changed and I couldn't find the people I liked anymore. And so then I kind of lost interest and that kind of stuff. There are a lot of people with social anxiety. Yeah, I don't know. The thing about the technology, and I think this is why I resist it a lot of times, is because I find the more I get into technology, the harder it is for me to interact with people one-on-one or, in person. And I don't want to lose that connection. So that's the hardest part for me with technology is because when you get used to texting or emailing, it's hard to make a phone call. I came here to watch one conspiracy video. Now I get spirituality, cute animals, and some randos. Yeah, yeah. And depression, yeah. Anxiety and depression are closely related. They're almost the same. In fact, the drugs that they give you for anxiety are the same they give you for depression and vice versa. I took in college, I took a neuroscience class and we learned about the brain and all that stuff. And you'd be surprised at how little the medical industry knows about depression and anxiety. They know nothing. They really know nothing about how the brain works and how that works. I worked from home for 10 years. That has given me social anxiety too. Yeah, I used to be an extrovert. See, when you work from home, I work from home too, but I've been working from home since 2012. And that's something that I noticed was happening. And I was like, I gotta get out of this house. And then thankfully I live in Sedona. So when I live in Sedona, everything encourages you to go outside because the land is so beautiful, the rocks and the hiking and the this and the that. But when I live here in the city, I don't want to go outside because it's too chaotic out there. So I totally understand. I spend too much time on here when I should be reading, really experiencing. I'm in hermit mode. Yeah, I feel you on that. I stopped reading a long time ago. I buy all these books and I'm like, I never read anymore. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I love when I do read because then I'm like, oh, I love reading. And I used to read a lot. I used to read like a book every day or two. I was like a voracious reader. Now I can't even pick up a book. They know that I pray and they ask me, how do we quiet our mind? Yeah, it's cool, right? Um, That's what I want to do on Mondays is teach people how to quiet their mind. I don't know if that could be taught actually. Scratch that. I want to help people to just drop out of their head for even 5 seconds. That whole thing about quieting the mind, it takes a lot of time and effort and patience, and you really want to do it. And then you find something that's really passionate for you that you really like. And I think it automatically happens, like if you're an artist or something like that. But when you have a lot of thoughts and you have a lot of worries and you have a lot of doubt, it's like all the shadow work that you have to do to even get some clarity and trauma work too. There's a lot of trauma stuff that we haven't even looked at. Most people haven't even scratched the surface of it. Will KB divorce his wife soon? No. Mm-mm. No, if you're waiting for somebody to divorce to be with them, it's the wrong person, honey. Mm-mm. I get anxiety driving. I made a song, "Get Out of My Head and Into My Car." You know what? I make songs all the time. Whatever does the trick, whatever makes you feel good, do it. Yeah. I feel like at this time in our life, find your joy, find your peace, find your happiness, find anything that helps you. And that's why you kind of have to experiment and say, okay, is it this? Is it that? Is it what is it? What is it that is really going to make me happy, even if it's temporary? Out of the girls that go into our life, I was talking about shadow work, but what is shadow work? Shadow work is your dark side. Is everything that most people avoid to feel better. So it's like we get here, like say you have anger, but actually it's not anger, it's grief. If we go deeper down, and that's the shadow that we're avoiding. So we'll hit the anger and we'll get angry and we'll keep getting angry and angry and angry and angry and angry until we hit it, until we're ready to say, actually, why am I so angry? What is the real root cause of this anger? Because everything's making me angry. And when you go deeper into it, it's some unresolved grief. It's something that we didn't face, that we shoved under the rug. We went, it's under there. And I think especially what I noticed in this whole like new age stuff, which there's nothing wrong with it, but with the new age now, it's about only feeling good. Oh, love and light. Oh, positivity. Oh, I don't want to feel that. So I'm going to push it down. I'm going to push it down. And then it becomes passive aggressive. And then we'll never have peace. We'll never have happiness. We'll always be searching for something outside of ourselves. But in the true healing, you have to go within yourself. And you have to ask those hard questions. Why am I really so angry? And we have to accept the answer that comes, because the answer that comes might be something that we haven't wanted to deal with for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and most people have a lot of unresolved grief, a lot of unresolved shadows. And until we can integrate our shadow and our light, like the yin yang, in the East, they have the yin yang symbol. That's what that whole symbol is talking about, is integration, accepting your light and your dark. Because when you understand your shadow and you heal your shadow and you get to the unresolved parts of yourself that have been causing you pain and suffering, like in Buddhism, they call it, the suffering is like greed, selfishness, ignorance, those kind of root things. When we solve them and we heal them, we accept them and we surrender, we find our spiritual power. That's where our power is. We're no longer fighting those things. And that's why a lot of people have addictions. That's the stem of addictions, because addictions are the things we're trying to numb out to. We're trying to not feel pain and suffering, because in our life, we're always running towards pleasure and away from pain and suffering. Which would make sense though, because of course we would rather feel pleasure than pain. And we learn that from infancy. If you study psychology, you'll know that we learn that stuff when we're like 0 months old. We learn it right out of the womb. Like, this world gives us this pain and this makes me feel good. So I'm going to do more of this and less of that. And then it becomes, I'm going to do more of this to avoid that. And that's the trauma stuff. And that's the whole basis of what shadow work is that we integrate and we stop running away from our pain and we start resolving it. We start healing it. We start accepting it. We start embracing it. We start understanding why we hurt, right? And that in our traditions, we always say you don't do that work alone. That's why you find a teacher. That's why you find a healer. That's why you find somebody who has done that work and can help you and can guide you. Because when you try to do that subconscious, unconscious work by yourself, you're going to find that it's an endless pit. And that's why people get stuck. They get stuck in these pains and these sufferings, and then they try doing this modality. They try doing this thing. And they keep trying to fix the problem. And sometimes you can go an entire lifetime or lifetimes looking for the right person to help you. And it's really sad because in our modern day, we don't have those ancient initiation rites like we used to. We don't have the people who, are noticeably the person. Like, if you lived in a tribal society and you lived in a community, you would know who to go to. But in our world now, there's so many people and everybody's claiming to be something. So it might take you a little time to find that right person. You're stuck? What are you stuck in? Yeah, 7 rites of passage. Oh, awesome. You've been doing that in the past 2 years. Yeah. And at least it's only, 2 years. Some people will find me and they'll be like, wow, I've been trying to look for you for a long time. But it's because it's like a sacred thing, actually. It's really sacred because it's putting yourself in a space of vulnerability. And when we're vulnerable, we can easily be taken advantage of too. Shadow work, I think, is better to be done when you know you're really ready and you are tired of that pain and suffering. Sometimes we have to hit the rock bottom to actually pick our lives up. Just life stuck with generational trauma, don't know how to heal is hard. Yeah. You know what I would say for you with the generational trauma? Is do one thing every day for yourself. Just do one thing every day that makes you feel good. That doesn't revolve around anything like capitalistic or consumerism, like going and shopping every day or eating and nothing like that, but finding one thing every day that gives you happiness and joy. And then say gratitude and thanks to your ancestors and say, I'm doing this thing of joy. Like say you like to walk or you like to just meditate or, it's something simple. And then just start acknowledging your ancestors and thanking them. And slowly but surely, you'll start moving out of that energy. You can also do offerings to your ancestors and start looking at the good parts of it. Because I think a lot of times we get stuck in the trauma and we look only at the trauma. And sometimes it just takes a little shift of energy to, move. And yesterday, I don't know if you can get on my YouTube, but yesterday I talked about releasing old winds to receive new winds. There might be a message there for you. You don't know how to do shadow work. You need to do this. Yeah. Well, we'll be doing this on my lives. Okay. We'll talk about it. You don't have to know how to do shadow work. I think it's more just the willingness and the openness to doing it. And to think about, okay, so right now, one thing you can do, everybody on here, is think about what is the primary emotion that I'm using right now, that I'm expressing right now, that is causing me the most pain and suffering in my life. Like I gave the example of anger, but it might be jealousy. It might be obsession. There's somebody on here earlier who asked about if somebody's getting a divorce because they're obsessed with that person and wanting to get divorced. Why? Really, why? Why are you obsessed with that? See, that's shadow work. That's some very big unresolved issues with codependency and dependency and choosing the wrong people and loving one-sided. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in that person that we could look at. And that I use that person as an example, but that's one of the main things that almost every live I do hear somebody's asking a similar question like that. Is so-and-so going to get rid of their third party or this or that? And it's like, why are you choosing that type of person? That's the shadow. That's how I found you again. We were to cross paths again. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were supposed to meet again, right? Hopefully we'll meet again. And let me know when your lives are. Fear. Okay, so that's a good one. Fear. What are you afraid of though? How can I connect with my ancestors and to my roots? I was adopted and didn't grow up in my culture. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because you know why it doesn't matter? It's in your blood. It's in your blood. It's in your blood. And that's like everybody. You know, we're all adopted in some way, shape, or form because this culture puts, you know, like is our real culture. And then here's this like fake culture. It's like everybody doesn't have their real culture either because it's been hijacked, right? And that's the beauty of this time in human history is that people are returning to their roots. We're all returning to our roots. And so you're adopted, but inside of you is your DNA and your roots and so what you want to do is you want to start an ancestral practice. You want to start an ancestral practice. And the first thing you want to do is a spirit offering to your ancestors and ask them and say, I don't connect with you right now, but I'm going to give you some food. I'm going to give you some water. I'm going to give you some liquor. I'm going to give you some items. Start something small. Do some water, do some offerings. Go to the forest if you can. Go outside and just ask the spirit world to build that connection. The more you do it, the more connection will come. Dreams will come. Meditations will come. You'll get the information that you need. Yeah. You'll get that. You're a jumpy kind of person. Okay, loud noises, car doors at night. So then we have to figure out, why are you afraid of loud noises? Did something in your childhood happen to you? Was there fighting? Was there violence? Was there some kind of trauma in your childhood that caused you to not feel safe with loud noises? Because now what you're talking about is probably a safety issue. Something in your life made you feel unsafe with noises, and it's trauma. So when we talk about shadow work, we're really talking about trauma work. They're almost the same. They are the same. But I think the thing that a lot of times, because I was trained as a psychologist too, that modern psychology misses is the spiritual component around that stuff and what she's talking about with the generational trauma. There's a big spiritual component. There's a big ancestral component. And that's why shamanism can help you with those things. Because when you understand the spirit world and you understand how it manifests in the physical world, you'll start to understand why you are, bothered by these things. Now, if you probably can't remember, even if you think about it, you might be like, I don't remember loud noises, or I don't remember that, because a lot of times our brain will block it out. So what you can do with the jumpiness and stuff is you want to start cultivating a mindfulness practice and calming your mind, and start with safety. Because when you start to feel safe and you start to really cultivate the feeling of safety, no matter where you are or with whoever you are or any of that stuff, and you start to heal that, then it won't bother you. Because with that kind of fear, it's kind of hard to live in like the world because everything is loud. Thunder, lightning, and one time got separated from family in thunderstorms about 3 years ago. That's the separation, right? Safety. You got separated from your people, and it was loud. I think meditation will help you. Oh, when you're 3, yeah, when you're 3 years old. I got you. Yeah. See, see how it still affects you to this day? That's the thing about shadow work. And that's why most people aren't going to be running towards shadow work, you know? It's the truth. It's not the why it's mainstream. That's why people don't even know what it is. When you say shadow work, they're like, what is that? Because it's not the popular spirituality. Oh no. Mm, yeah. See? And how did you heal from that? You know, do you have any advice? Because I think a lot of people have that. And you know, the sad thing about it is that there's a lot of people dealing with that right now. There might be somebody in this room dealing with that right now, and a crazy ex, a crazy person. But that's all shadow stuff, because why do we attract people who would do stuff like that to us? And it's not something we did wrong. It's something that we haven't resolved within ourselves that we're here to resolve. And thankfully you lived through that so that you could help others, right? I have been afraid of the dark since a child. Mm. You have to think about what happened in the dark. And that might be something that for sure you want to, you want to go through that process with somebody that you can trust to help you with that, because there might be something there that you don't want to look at. Oh, that's your most recent trauma? Oh my gosh. Well, for sure the spirit world helped you, right? For sure. Because something like just on the spiritual level is like when a relationship gets to the point of violence or like that, like death, it forces us out of that relationship. And I think when you're going through the healing journey of that and looking back on it and saying, okay, what really was going on there? What I first hear about that is that you were giving too much of yourself and losing too much of yourself in the process. And they're saying you're such a kind-hearted person that you want to help people to the point where it might be detrimental to yourself. And the lesson then going forward is to balance that, to see the reality of a situation and balance it. Like you can see the potential and the best in people. And I think healers, we always want to see the best in people. But what our hardest lesson too is to see the worst in them as well, to see the reality of what it is, where they really are. And sometimes we miss those what do you call it? Flags. Yeah, we miss all the signs. Yeah. Yeah. You feel like you're being called out. That's how spirit is. You'll notice that in my work, like the longer you stick around, is everything I'm saying is for everybody, like in some way, shape, and form. If you're sticking around and you're listening, it's because spirit gives out messages like that. Spirit gives out messages for the collective. Like there'll be something that you'll be like, wow, oh, that sounds like something I need to hear. That's the reason why you're here. You're listening. Yeah. And so, when you've been molested and raped and all that stuff as a child, as horrible as it is, it becomes almost like a norm or something that is weirdly comfortable for us. And then when we get older, we attract those types of relationships until we heal that within ourselves. And it's all about self-love. It's really all about self-love and healing the pattern of suffering. And that's the shadow work. And then once you heal that, you won't be in a relationship like that ever again. You would never tolerate that ever. You would learn and you grow and you will help other people. And then the people that you will help will be, thankful and grateful. And that's why we go through those hard lessons. Do you have any advice for healing deep-rooted shame and feeling broken and unworthy of love? That's the journey, right? Because I think thank you for asking that. Because shame and guilt are the guardians of the subconscious mind. And when we have a lot of shame and guilt, we get stuck right there. It's like a lock. And that's how most of us were raised, is through shame and guilt. That's how we are punished in this world, is through shame and guilt. Religion does that to us. Our parents do that to us. All of the cultural conditioning and programming is around shame and guilt. And so when we go into ceremony, those are the two doorways that we break open, is shame and guilt. So what I would recommend first, because that's a process, you're not just going to get there overnight. It's an ongoing process that will require many steps and levels. And the first thing I would recommend, is just start doing some subconscious reprogramming at night and say, I am deserving of love, or come up with like some mantras that you say before bed, and say it 8 to 10 times. If you go on my Pinterest account, I have different affirmations for success that I put up, and look at some of those. Look at YouTube videos, start to reprogram the mind so that you can break further into your healing. As you start doing that, your healing will progress. So start with the subconscious reprogramming. That's the one thing I can't move on from, my innocence taken from me, not being protected. Yeah. And I bet you there's a lot of anger, frustration, grief, and tragedy there. And I think for that one, we do inner child work, and we grieve the little, are you a female? A little girl or little boy within. Because when terrible things happen to us as children, and then, how is it? It's so hard to feel protected and safe in a world when, as a young child, that innocence was taken. And there's a lot of resentment. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of grief. And so you work with your inner child, and you say, I'm so sorry those things happened to you, and cry, and you really feel it. And you take a spiritual bath, and you cleanse it, and you let, and you say, I want to let this go, because it is poison for me. It's poison. And I don't know how to let it go. And you let the spirit world help you, because it's not a human thing. You can't, the human mind can't fathom it, can't let it go. It's so hard. But when you open your spiritual mind, it can help heal that. It can help you. It can allow you to move forward. You may never forget it, but you can move forward. You do certain ceremonies for people, like when they're coming back from war and stuff. And it's similar to that. There are so many women and men that have been harmed by an adult and their innocence taken away. Yeah. Especially here in America. More than in other places in the world. Where it's a very sad thing. Like South Africa too. There are some countries that have it more, but it comes from ignorance. It comes from generational patterns of suffering. It comes from trauma. It comes from control. It comes from so many things. And, when we have that kind of stuff happen to us as such a young child, it'll affect our whole life until we come to the point of healing. And you'll never, there's like people will give you advice like, well, like just get over it. How do you just get over something like that? It takes a lot of self-love, courage, and reprogramming and healing to let go of the traumas of our past. And not just our past, but our grandmother's past, our great-grandmother's past, our everybody's past. Because as we say, healing is 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. It's a process. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of love and courage and support and community. And so that's part of what we're doing here is we have a community. Look how many people have stepped forward and said, yeah, that's me. That's my problem. That too. I understand that. And when we step into a supportive space and we can find that healing energy and the people who aren't trying to give us stupid advice or trying to tell us get over it or what's wrong with you or you always do that, like that doesn't help us. That doesn't help anybody. Nobody wants stupid advice like that, because a lot of times when we're suffering and we're hurting and we're sharing our pain and we're sharing our vulnerability and we're sharing our heart, we just want to be listened to. We don't need anybody to tell us stuff. We just need someone to listen to us and care for us and say, you know what? You did nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just now, how can we help you move forward? How can we help you not go down to the bottom of the well? Because a lot of people commit suicide. A lot of people just give up, and that's the sad part. That's the most devastating part, is when somebody gets to the bottom because nobody helped them and then they kill themselves. And so many people do that. Children do that. And it's just so sad and tragic. It shouldn't be happening, especially in, what we call the most modern times, right? Because we don't have the community, we don't have support, we don't have people who just will hold you and hug you and say, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel guilt. It's okay to feel shame. It's okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to lash out. Those are things that are okay. The shadow is not something to be avoided. It's something to be embraced and healed. I didn't know it was 7 generations back and forward. That's a lot of healing that needs to be done. Yeah. This is why in Tibet, they will send one child to the monastery. Almost every family will send one child. And they usually have multiple children. So they'll either send a girl to become a nun, or they'll send a boy to become a monk. Why? Because that child is going to do the whole healing for the whole family for 7 generations back and forward. That child is going to sit in a monastery until they become a very old man or woman and pray 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, their whole entire life. And that's a great honor and sacrifice. It's a great honor and sacrifice to go to the monastery and pray all day and pray all night. And that's something. I think that's something. That to me is something. Because, if you think about it as a parent, you give up your child to go do all your healing work. And it's beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for all the I'm not sure what they're called, stickers, or I'm new to the live, but thank you so much, Shelby Silent Walker. I love it. Actually, I've seen your videos before. I really love them. Thank you so much for popping on. So good to see you. Oh. Thank you so much. That's a lot on the shoulders of one person. They don't think of it like that. They don't think of it like that. It's an honor. It's a privilege. It's not a burden. It's like such a high honor that you're the child that is chosen to be the one to heal your family. I think that's incredible, and they get to live incredible lives too. Like all the monks that I know, they live an amazing life of travel and study and meditation and prayer, and they're living good. Don't worry. Hello. Hi, Ziploc. How are you? It's been a while. Oh, it's good to see you, Shelby. Thank you so much. I love when we can all connect like that, because there's some incredible people actually here on TikTok. I've seen some really amazing people. If you're not you're an only child, it's all up to us. Yeah, I'm an only child. And yeah, it's all of how many times I've been like, why didn't you people have more kids? It's not fun being an only child because you're like, why don't people have any more kids? And so, like, usually in our modern culture, who the person that really, if we were in Tibetan society, who would be sent to the monastery is gonna be the black sheep. That's the person. That would be the person. That would be the person sent, because that's the healer of the family. Oh, thank you so much, Patty. I enjoy listening to you and what you share. Oh, hugs. Hugs to you, Shelly. Or I'm sorry, not Shelly, Patty. I'm sorry, I'm kind of blind, so I need to get a bigger screen. They broke the mold with you. Yeah, they broke the mold. They just didn't want to have any more molds. It was funny because my mom, she said that she when they were doing the ultrasound, and they were like, what do you want? And of course my dad's like, I want a boy. And my mom's like, and the lady's like, well, you're getting a girl. And then my mom was like, okay, I'm done. A girl, I'm good. Thank you for your guidance. I understand the message. I'm coming home now. Oh, good. I remember that. And then, I did find the song. So I was like, what is the song that Spirit is giving me? I don't know. But it's a beautiful song. You're coming home. I like that. You're one of 6? Oh, great. Sandra, you got a good number of kids. That's almost like a perfect number. I think 6 is good. Because where are you in that? You're the first one though. You're holding a lot of energy then. The oldest is the one. Yeah, agreed. I was the oldest girl of 13 children. I was the second child. Wow. Oldest girl of 13 children. Oh, there's my cat. Children. I was the second child. Wow. So you had a lot of responsibility early on, huh? Third of 6. That's Sandra, is that you're like kind of in the middle, yeah? Middle child is hard too. Because with the middle child, you're like the Brady Bunch, the Marsha thing. You're kind of right smack in the one. You're holding the balance, right? Hi, Peaky. That's my cat, Peaky. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, like what order you are and your personality and how that develops your life and all that stuff. You were like the cornerstone. Yeah. You were the main stone. And that's like a life, the thing too, when you're like the first, is you end up having to do a lot of sacrificing for the rest too, usually, depending on the orders and how many and what number and whatever. But a lot of times, and in Korean history and in our culture, they have a lot of teachings about like what number you are in your family and what your responsibility is and what your destiny is. And hold on, I have to get my cat. Oh, okay. She don't want to come. She said, You changed the diapers, they didn't have no Pampers. Yeah, yeah. So you were doing like cloth diapers, right? Yeah. That's the thing, is like you're either doing the diapers or you're something. Okay, you still want to come? It's right there. Yesterday I told the Peaky Bee story. story. And so if you want to know about Peaky Bee and her story. Oh, her kitty, and she still has teeth issues. So sad and tragic. The doctor I took her to, who was afraid of her. She's a 15-year-old elderly cat, and he didn't want to touch her because he was afraid she'd bite him, and she has no teeth. She has, she's missing 7 teeth. He wanted to pull all her teeth out. And I was like, you're crazy. I'm not gonna let you cut my teeth out. So she's just on soft foods right now. And when I get back to Sedona, I'm gonna take her to her real vet who loves her and check her out and see what we can do. But so far she's good. She's still eating and she's happy. She's purring right now. But thanks for asking for little Peaky. She's a little survivor. You want to talk about like a crazy story? It's this cat. What do you think about name significance? I was named after my mother and came out the most like her. I don't know. What I feel like spiritually about that, when your parent names you after them or part of them, like sometimes, like a lot of times they'll give the middle name or something, is because you're there to finish something that they couldn't, to do something that they couldn't do in their lifetime. Like they're kind of passing on that energy too. So you might look at that and be like, what was the thing she couldn't fulfill that I'm now fulfilling? And that's how generational healing also will work. You have 4 wiener dogs and have had teeth removed from 2 of them. Sad. Did you have a lot of teeth removed from them? Because she already had a dental. She had 7 teeth removed. And she's 15, so I hesitate around putting her under sedation. I used to work at a vet clinic years ago when I was in college, and I seen a 15-year-old dog go to get his teeth cleaned and died a few weeks later. So I always keep that in my mind, like, I don't know, it might be too hard for her. I gave my daughter my middle name, but it was because I couldn't find something I liked. You liked your name though, right? And do you think that, like, is she doing something? So like, for example, it could be like a gift that the mother had that is passed on to the daughter or the son too. It can happen with sons too. You know what I mean? Like the gift of music or art or something. Yes, quite a few. Oof, don't tell my baby is 10 and about to go. I think 10 is okay. 10 is not old. But she's kind of pushing it right now. So I had to talk to her vet. But the vet I go to is like a human. He treats her like a human. So what does it mean when your middle name is Justice then? I think that kind of says you're probably someone here to fight for the underdog, and justice is going to be very important to you. Another thing, if you want to know more about your name and the frequency of your name, I would recommend doing a numerology on your name. Like go to Google. Now you can find everything in Google. Back in my days, I had to go to a book, but you can find a numerology calculator. I don't know what they call it, but it'll tell you like the letter and then the number, and then you add it all together and you'll come up with your signature number. And that will tell you the whole vibration of your name and why you're here and your destiny and all that stuff. That's another way to work with your names. I was named after my dad and my aunt. So do you see any connections with those two people in your life and your destiny, and anything resolved or unresolved? Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, the name stuff. If you want to go deeper into your name, you can do that. You can go into the numerology part of it. And there's a really good book. I don't know if it's in my Amazon store, but I'll add it if it's not. It's something about like life purpose. What's that book called? I can think of it in my head and I can't think of it right now. But it's something about life purpose and your numbers. Of course, I'm not gonna find it that way. I have to think about it. But it's a blue book, and it talks about your number, your signature numbers in your name, and how that relates to your destiny. So like, for example, for me, everything's a 3. Everything's a 3. And so that means that I'm somebody who is supposed to be a creator. Like everything I do is about creation and creativity, and that's very true in my life. So if I'm not creating, I'm pretty miserable. I can't think of, and I think his name is like Dan. Let me see if I can find him. No, is it this book? Finding, oh, I think it's this one, Finding Your Life Purpose. Yeah, this is it. It's called Finding Your Life Purpose by Dan Millman. You didn't mean to put a laughing face. Oh, it's okay. I think I am a 3, but let me check. Yeah, it's called Finding, here, let me see if I can put it in the chat here. It's called Finding Your Life Purpose by Dan Millman. Oops. Yeah, there it is. I don't know if you guys can see it on this side. Yeah. Finding Your Life Purpose. Oh, there it is. It's already in your Amazon cart. You're quick. Yeah, I like that book. I found that book, oh, like maybe 20 years ago. It's an old book, but yeah, it's that one. And then is it? Yeah, there's another one. It's called The Life You Were Born to Live, a guide to finding your life purpose. If you look up Dan Millman, and you'll find his books. And he has, I think, a few books that look like, yeah, on the life you were born to live, that, but I think it's not actually the other one. But those 2 books would be the books I'd recommend on your numerology and your destiny and why you're here and all that good stuff. I think when you're on a self-transformation path or a healing path or anything like we've been talking about tonight, you want to hit it from all the ancient perspectives. So when you think about your name, there's a lot of reasons why you were named what you were named. And there's a lot of karma with your name, but there's also a lot of dharma, which means purpose. So your name, like we were talking about earlier, has both the light and the shadow, the good and the bad. It has both those aspects to it. And that's why in our ancient traditions, we have naming ceremonies, because at some point in your path, you're going to change. You're going to be ready for a new embodiment of yourself. And so like for me, I was given that name SongBirdGrandMother. And that was given to me in ceremony. And the reason it was given to me was because I hit a certain level in my evolution and in my growth that my former self had to die. It had to not die. Like when I say that, people are like, you died. But that I hit the end of that person, that persona, that energy. And then I was ready for a new name. I was ready for the next evolution. I was ready for my soul name to come forward. And that was what I was given. And I had to go through a very painful spiritual death to receive that name. And so at some point, a lot of people will do that. That's why most healers, if you look at them, they embody a new name at some point. And that name may change. You might have a few names because they represent different times, different aspects, different parts of who you are. And once you embody a new name, you don't go back to the old name. But like for me now, I have like a government name. You know, like you have a government name and a non-government name. I feel that's where I am. I've been trying to find out who I am. Yeah. It's a beautiful journey because like you'll start reading those books and then you'll you'll start to know more about who you are, because the greatest thing to do in this world is to know thyself. And it's a beautiful journey. Do you lose all your family? No. Mm-mm. I lost my dad last year because he passed away. This month is going to be the 1-year anniversary. It's been a very difficult year. But no, I have a small family to begin with. Most of my mom's family is in Korea, and most of my dad's family, they're all over, but they're not, most of them are not in a good place. So I didn't really grow up a lot with them because they have a lot of addictions and drug and alcohol problems. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a hard year, but me and my mom are surviving, and that's why I moved from Sedona to Colorado to be with my mom. So, you lost your mom in November. Oh, I'm so sorry, Patty. It's hard that first year, huh? You're just fresh too. November, that's fresh. I can't even believe it's been a year. It's hard. Grief is hard. It's hard. I've helped thousands of people through grief, but I'm grateful the work I do because I can connect to my dad in the spirit world. And I'm so grateful for that. I have that strong connection, but there's nothing that will ever replace that feeling of you just want to see them. You just want to share your news with them. I took for granted, I could just call my dad. I could ask him anything. My dad was so wise with so many things, and he always just listened, and he was such a great person. And now he's not here. And it's like, gosh, I lost something big. When you lose, especially, I don't know, like depending on your relationship with your parents, but I don't know. For me, I had my dad and my mom. I was an only child. So losing my dad was like losing a big part of myself. And he passed on a lot of power to me because he had a lot of spiritual power. Yeah. Hug her. Oh, I know. That's the part of life that's the hardest, is grief and losing people we love. And I think about 2020 and how many people we lost since then. It's incredibly hard. When we went to go do his funeral arrangements, and the guy told us that they were so backed up from all the people dying, it was like, wow, I can't believe that. There's so many people grieving right now. You lost your mom in September, and I saw her writing today on a card, and it just hit me so hard. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about grief, right? You'll just be doing okay, and then all of a sudden you have a memory, or you'll something will trigger it, right? And then you think about them, and then you just miss them so much. Yeah, and it will never go away. That's the thing about grief, because I've walked so many people through the grieving journey. I know that never goes away. I know there's a person you were before your grief, and then there's a person you are after your grief. And the person you were before will never be the person you are after. There's no going back. And I feel like that's like all of us in some way, shape, and form, because we had a 2019 us and then we had a 2020 us and beyond, right? Hi, Lola. How are you? Yeah. And that's why I think right now healing is most important. Just being in a real space where we can talk about stuff like this and we can heal and we can know we're not alone. Grief triggered me to change completely. It takes a long time to see the light in it all. Yeah. That's what it is, right? It's a total metamorphosis. It's a total change in who we are, who we thought we were. And it brings us back into, for me, it's like the sacredness of how time is so short. It's so short. You know, we get old so fast. We need to enjoy where we are as we are and know that it will always change. Life is an ever evolving, changing thing. And it's never going to be the same, but we learn to adapt. And that's why I really like the teachings of my, of Asia, my Asian culture too, because a lot of the Buddhism and a lot of the teachings are all about letting go. And I have some really great Tibetan monk teachers who have taught me a lot about that process of letting go and not trying to hold on, to the past because it's gone, but only moving into that new future and being present in the now. And I think when we were talking about earlier, how somebody was saying, when with anxiety, that's what it is. Part of it is never feeling safe where you are. And another part of anxiety is always worrying about the future instead of just being completely present in the now. Yeah, grief is hard. Grief is hard. And what I've learned from grief is that it's a beautiful thing. Because when you have grief, it means you are loving another so profoundly that it literally breaks your heart. That's the great love you have for that person and the impact that they have and had in your life. And you're feeling it so profoundly because they are that great to you. Good and bad, because grief, you can have it good or bad. You can have like hatred and vengeance and, but it's all love. To me, it's all love, no matter how it's expressed. Because that's the most beautiful and most profound thing about this human life is our ability to feel and to love. That's the most unique thing about being in a human body and a human experience. I'm so afraid of losing everyone. Yeah, don't be afraid of it. Enjoy the moments you have with them. But that's like with me with my cat. She's getting older and I know there's going to be a day where she's going to break my heart and she's going to leave this earth. It's like with everything physical, it leaves. I've never suffered with anxiety until my mom died. Now I fear something happened to me and leaving my daughter. I know it's a trauma. It's a trauma response. So I would recommend, you do some healing with that. It's going to take some time and it's going to take some patience. And as long as you can give yourself time and patience and breathing and maybe start a good mindfulness or meditation practice or ancestral healing practice, it'll help. That's one of the things I'm so grateful is that I do the altars, because one of the things about an altar and why we do altars, ancestral altars, like do an altar to your mom, is that it gives us a place for grief. It gives us a place for grief. because we can sit at our altar and we can prepare the foods they like and the waters and if they like alcohol, whatever they like. And we could put it on the altar and then we can grieve. We can think about all those memories. And it gives us that quiet space to just grieve and to have that place of honor for our people who have passed. Your cat said, too bad, I'm going to haunt you. You know my cat very well, Lola. She's like in the afterworld when she passes on, like, where's my, she'll be looking for her kitty altar and she'll be like, excuse me, where's my favorite shrimp snacks? She'll be like, where you left out my food. You know what? That cat, we're gonna have to be feeding her in the afterlife too, huh? Feed my cat in the afterlife. Oh my goodness, you guys are funny. But how are you today, Miss Lola? What's going on in your world? All right, I feel like today we really went into the healing room about, grief and all that. That was really good. Okay. She's going to be the most important ancestor according to her. Look, I got my Kirkland water here. Yeah, she's going to be the most important ancestor, of course. She's going to be in the front. I have another cat. When I do my rituals, I have one I do for him too, because he was my first cat. That was my cat. And that's a hard thing too about having pets, because you know that their life is much shorter, and most likely, unless you have like a macaw or something like that, most likely your pet is gonna pass, right? Haha, Kirkland. Yeah, most likely your pet is not gonna make it past you. I mean, so kind of sad. It's sad. Like my mom, she's so like, do you think the dog will live to be 20 years old? I'm like, yeah, we can hope. I doubt it. She's 10 now, I'm like, but she's pretty healthy, so I don't know. Might be. She eats a lot of chicken. All right, everybody. I was gonna light a candle. I still want to do that. I prepared our candle. I kind of feel like the way our direction today of our lives went with the grief and the healing and all that was because I put in that copal medicine. And it's like clearing some of that residual grief and stuff. And then also some clove. So for spiritual protection and abundance. Our fur babies die young. I know. It's the one thing about having a pet that's hard. I'll tell you a quick story and then I'll light the candle. When I was an undergrad in psychology, I had to do a study at the end of my program. And it was like a really big, like you had to put together a whole research study. And the study that I chose to do, because I'm crazy like that, is decided to do a study about early childhood death experiences and how they affect you later in life. Everybody else was doing these silly research projects and mine was like death. And what I found, and it was really interesting because I did actually find something from this study, is that people who had death experiences with pets, like their first grieving experience with death was a pet, were much more afraid of death later in their life, in their adulthood, through all age categories. They were much more afraid of death because that's how traumatic a first pet dying is. And of course, I presented this to my, the psychology research, whatever, something. I presented it. And everybody who presented, they had no results. No results. Whatever study they did, I found no result. Oh, I found no result. Oh, I found no result. Mine was the only one And nobody wanted to talk to me about it. Everybody avoided my table. Everybody was, oh, that's the death girl. In psychology, nobody wanted to talk about death. And I was like, wow. And that was my whole focus. It's kind of, dark in that way. But I've always been fascinated with death because I'm a shaman. What happens after you die? I'm, really fascinated with that. And from a young age. And I found that actually, that was, and what I also found was my research project was really popular. Everybody wanted to sign up to it. My rooms were full every time I did the research part of it. And I said, okay, come in and let's research. They were full participants. I had too many participants and other people had no participants. That shows you how profound and powerful death is. People want to talk about it. People want to know about it. People do want to research it, but other people were afraid of it. Professional psychologists were afraid of my research project. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that was your first big death, and it's true. Number is 4. Me, heart's desire is 3. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's true, right? Oh, you found your destiny numbers? Look at you. You're multitasking over here on this live. That would have been my focus too. Yeah, Lola, see, you're on the same way. Death is so fascinating, but everybody ran away from me. Everybody ran. I like you. I like that, Liz. Because you know what? I'm like that too. Like when somebody tells me, oh, really? Oh, check it out. I'm a Virgo, so I'm like that. I'm just like, and that's like for me when I first started studying with my first teacher, I was like eating it up. Oh, I couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't get enough of whatever she would say. I'm like, oh, really? I just when I first embarked on my shamanic path and I found my teacher, and it was like I finally found out why I am the way I am. That's what this path did for me. It was like I was looking, trying to find out what it is. Why I'm so weird. And then when she came, I was like, oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, welcome back, Soaring Woman. I saw you, and I don't know what happened, but welcome back. My NDE was nothing like anything most people require. Yeah, I believe that. We'll talk about that. Because what most people actually see is not what it is. I know what you're talking about. I have PTSD due to losing my soul dog traumatically. And my ex had lost her son at 6 weeks old. Oh, that's the worst. It really is the hardest death. When you lose a child, that's the hardest death. Suicide and losing children are the hardest deaths. And that's scientifically proven. But it really is. I mean, all death is hard, but it really is. It's the hardest. Those are the hardest deaths. And it takes years and years. Yeah. I once did a reading with a woman who had lost both her sons to suicide. And the amount of grief and heartache and tragedy, it was amazing that woman got out of bed every day, because it was just so devastating. And they both committed suicide in adulthood. And I think about that lady every day, because I can't imagine surviving that. I can't imagine. It hurt me how people are so much more willing to hear a pet death over people. Yeah. And it's the same thing. Like I was telling my mom the other day, we were passing by somewhere downtown, and downtown there's always much more homeless people. And I was looking, and I said, oh, that poor dog. There's a guy with his dog, and they were living in a tent and stuff. And my mom was like, oh my God, she felt more sorry for the dog than the man. And she goes, should we turn around? And and it was like impossible to turn around because of construction or whatever. And I was like, I remember watching a thing about homelessness, and the woman said that people cared more about her dog than her when she was homeless, and it took 2 years. In 2 years, she was homeless for 2 years, and she said there was only one person who said, "Are you okay? Can I give you something?" Because everybody always wanted to take care of her dog, but they just overlooked her. I feel like it's the same thing. Like they react so strongly to my story about Hush Hush about her son. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, because nobody wants to deal with that. We as a society are terrible with death. No one wants to talk about it. You know what everybody told me after my dad died? Oh, if there's anything you need, let us know. And it was so fake. Nobody cared. You know what I mean? It was just me and my mom. We were on our own because nobody really wanted to deal with that. Nobody knows how to deal with death. Death is hard, but it's got to be even harder because they choose to go that route. Yeah. Well, I think with that kind of death, when somebody commits suicide, you have so much like regret to like, God, how come I didn't know? Wow, what could I have done? Could I have changed something? You have those feelings of like, can I help? Or what happened? Or I can't believe that person did that, right? You have so much. It's so much to it. And I think part of the reason we suffer with death so much is that we just don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. It's such a natural part of life, but it's not something we talk about. It's not something we have rituals around. We don't have ceremonies. We don't have anything that people can do to heal. Like we don't have it in the society, really. You have to go looking for it. You have to go find it. Like they have grief counseling support or this, that, but we don't really have anything spiritually for it. In ancient cultures, and we have stuff for it. We have ceremonies. We have things, and we have support more sometimes. But in all honesty, like in a collective, I mean, how much are we talking about death? And I think that's why with the medium stuff, people gravitate towards that a lot more than other spiritual stuff, like shamanic stuff. Nobody knows about that stuff. You don't see it on mainstream news, but you will see the mediums, like what's that kid's name, and the different mediums like that is kind of popular. You see it a lot, like we have a lot of TV shows, we have a lot of things about it because people are interested in wanting to connect to their deceased loved ones. But I think the problem with mediumship is that we leave it at that. So when you do a mediumship reading, oh, your grandma comes in and she says this and that, and then that's it. But in shamanism, we'll say, oh, okay, your grandmother's coming in, this and that, and we want to do this and that so you can heal. We want to take it a step further, and we want to heal, because most of the time when we're doing ceremonies or readings or whatever, and your grandmother comes in, they're coming in for a reason. They're coming in to help you to do all that stuff, but they're also coming in for you to help them. So sometimes these ancestors that come in, especially in ceremonies, they're the ancestors who are stuck. They need help. They need currency. And that's why we do the offerings and all that stuff to them. It's a different philosophy, because in the West, people want their ancestors around them. A lot of times people, One time I remember a woman, she lost her daughter, and she said, I don't feel my daughter around me. I feel like there's something wrong. Why doesn't she come around me? And I said, she's not around you because she's gone. She's not hanging around like a ghost. She's gone. So that's a good thing. And she's like, oh, I never thought about that. And then she told me how her other friend who lost a daughter feels her daughter all the time, always around her. And she is grieving much harder because she's always around her. And I said, yeah, because she needs to release her. She has to let go. She has to, let her go. Let her go on her journey. And she's like, wow, and it helped her heal because she was feeling like there's something wrong with her that her daughter wasn't hanging around. Because in our cultures, we don't want people to hang around us. We work on letting them go. We have the altar work. We do that stuff to help them, and it helps us because we want them to fly into the spirit world. We want them to go to the good place. We want them to go, knowing that one day we'll meet again. And it'll break our hearts, but we want them to go and be healed and to do what they got to do in their worlds. I need that. I need the shaman reading. There's something I'm unsure of what is in needs healing. Yeah. Well, if you feel a connection you want, I offer readings, and you can look in the link in my bio. Sylvia Brown always said, when you think of your deceased loved ones, they come to you. Yeah. There's a memory there. There's an energy there. There's something there. But see, that's the difference between the East and the West. Because in the West, is like, you want to call them forward. There's some traditions, like in the Gypsy tradition, they burn everything. In the Apache, like most indigenous cultures, they used to burn everything when the person died. They burn their house, they burn everything. Anything that person was attached to or touched, they would burn it. And that was because they didn't want them to come back around. And in the Gypsy culture, they wouldn't say their name. After they died, they don't say their name again. Yeah. I felt my best friend Megan and my grandma recently, even had dreams. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're helping you to heal. They're helping you to connect. A lot of times, like with the dream stuff, they're giving you messages or letting you know where they are. Like with my dad, as he's going through the spirit world, he's kind of drops in either to me or my mom, and he'll let us know where he is in the spirit lands. So she'll tell me her dream and I'll say, oh, he's here, or oh, okay, and I'll interpret it for her. It seems so sad to not say their name. Yeah, it's a cultural difference, right? It's a cultural difference. It's there's nothing sad about it. It's just a cultural difference. It's because we have a different philosophy around it. We feel like we don't want them to attach because we don't want them to become ghosts. We don't want them to attach. And through our attachment, it causes us pain and suffering as well as them. So I'm getting messages and then my anxiety tries to take over. Yeah, that's because you know why? The spirit world is trying to talk to you, but you're afraid. Anxiety and spirituality, and especially when you're first waking up, is really strong. Is really strong because you're fighting your human mind and your spirit mind. You have to break your human mind to get your spiritual messages. And that's what shamanic training is breaking the human mind so spirit can enter. And we call it the hollow bones. Is it normal to get TV messages? What does that mean? Like, explain what a TV message is. I don't know what that means. You mean like where it's all swirly? Because when you say TV message, I think of like not clear or something, or like a screen. I'm not sure. Just let me know what that means. Yeah, it's just a difference in culture. It's not, I'll give you an example. I was in a ceremony one time, and this woman had lost her husband. She was incredibly young, probably in her early 30s or something. She wasn't very old, and she lost her husband, and it broke her heart, obviously. And in the ceremony, the medicine man said, you have to let him go, because he came into the ceremony, and she was crying, and she was like really going through a hard time with this death. And he said, you have to let him go so he can let go to the spirit world. And she couldn't let go. She said, I refuse to let go. I am not letting him go. I cannot let him go. She just would not let this person go. And she got brain cancer multiple times after that, for many years. To this day, she's still suffering, and she still has not let go. And that's why in our traditions, it's like you have to let them go, because it won't only make, it will make them stuck, because they will hold on. They love us so greatly, they will hold on, but it will make us physically sick. So there's a physical and spiritual thing around that. And that's why we do certain traditions, and we do certain things like not saying their name or stuff like that. And that's kind of like the real ancient ways. In this modern way, most people don't do that, but there's still certain traditions we keep. Okay, let me see what we're saying. TV messages. You feel like you are losing your mind? Oh no. I'm guessing certain sentences might pop out in a TV show as a message, for example. No, like I'll turn on a channel and the show, whatever they are discussing is relevant to something. So are you talking more about like synchronicity then? Spirit makes pop culture references to me, yeah, but I make pop culture art. So is that like you're tapping into the culture and you're creating the culture, maybe? Lola? Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I think what you're saying about the TV messages is like, is it something like, let's say you were thinking of raspberries, and then you turn on the TV and then there's raspberries and they're making something with raspberries. I know that's not a great example, but you know what I mean? Something like that. Or is it like a message you need to hear? I don't know. Maybe give me an example if you can think of. Pretty much synchronously, like one day I'm watching an extra movie and then I go to my closet. Maybe, unfortunately. Okay. I think what you're talking about is synchronicity, right? Yeah, that's normal. You know what that means? The good news, I have good news for you. You know what that means is you're in your vibration. You're right in alignment. You're right where you need to be. It's the same thing like deja vu. That's what that means. I had my mom channeled after, and it actually gave me peace because I know how she died and was okay. Yeah, that's the purpose of a medium reading. Unresolved grief, and that's, letting them go. A lot of times mediumship readings will help you to let them go. However, a lot of times, depending on the medium you go to, they'll want you to keep coming back, or you know what I mean? It can get like kind of weird too. But if you find a really good medium and they just bring in the message, it's because they want you to resolve and to move forward, and they move forward, and sometimes they'll come and visit, and that's normal. That's normal. But what I'm talking about more is the letting go process. And we need to have resolution. We need to have closure. And we need to move forward too in our lives. And they need to move forward in the spirit land. But a lot of times what happens, depending on the death, is it's hard to let go. It's hard, especially when it's unexpected. Bing Cosby record, and then the what? Sorry. And then the show says it's signed by Bing Cosby. I love when that stuff happens, though. That means you're right in alignment. Synchronicity means that you're right in alignment. You're right where you need to be. You're exactly in the flow of your life. And that happens a lot when you first start awakening. You really start noticing that. that vibration terrifies you because it gets a lot, like literally one day the radio was going between two channels. Yeah, I think what would help you is learning how to better manage and control that frequency and that energy. And I think the longer it happens, the more it happens, it becomes normal. You're kind of reminding me of one of my clients who she's a medium and she's terrified of it. She's terrified, and like weird stuff like that happens to her. And over the years, she's getting better now. You know, but it took a lot of change for her to get there, but she's still not quite there. Because it's hard, you know, it's like a whole brain shift. It's a whole thing. And that's why you need a spiritual mentor, spiritual teaching. You need to learn how to do the right exercises and practices to control it better. Yeah. Yeah. Just it's not learning to love it. I think it's more like accepting it. And that's the hardest part. Like in our shamanic trainings, where I see most people getting stuck is in commitment, because it's the hardest thing to actually commit to a shamanic path. That's why there's very few shamans. It's not an easy path, first and foremost. And the second, it takes a lot of hard work and discipline. And the third one is at some point, the spirit world wants your full commitment. Yeah, I wish I was a medium to be able to give people peace from their loved ones. Yeah, I don't think it's something you want to wish for as a medium myself. Just, you know, it looks better than it is because most people who have this gift, we definitely don't choose it. It chooses us. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy. It's draining. That's why I don't like to do medium readings. Like, you know, medium readings are just something naturally that comes in, but that's not like what I primarily do, because I like to do other stuff, because it is really draining. And you're dealing with heavy grief. Heavy grief. Yeah, so love your path. I need to learn because I feel nuts, and I'm like, I know I'm like not. You're not nuts. Well, stick around. I'll be on the lives every night, 8 p.m. Oh yeah, hi Rachel. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be on live every night at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'm building my live stamina. Yes, it does. Yeah. I think there will be a rise in shamans with all the neurodivergent people. I hope so. We need it. I hope so. You have to be like the Energizer Bunny. Me? Yeah, to do mediumship readings, you really do. And that's why you have to do your rituals. And that's why for me, you have to have your practice. And everybody's practice is different. Like I know one medium, she said her practice is like working out. And that when she doesn't work out, she's like, she can't do mediumship readings. So she has to be very focused and disciplined. My parents think I'm nuts. I go with borderline genius. Yeah, I'm gonna say something about that. People get thrown off. Thrown what? Oh, people get thrown off when you do very normal, fun things, I'm sure. Uh, you know, yeah, probably. I've been trying to do normal, fun things, but I don't know what normal is, and everything is kind of fun for me, so I don't know. Every night, wow, I know, I'm crazy, huh? I'm trying to build up less of a resistance to lives. What are we anchoring in the Sedona? When or what are we anchoring in the Sedona ceremonies? You know, I think they'll be different. depending on where we go and what we do in the group, it'll be custom tailored for whoever comes. Need to learn to protect yourself from spiritual vampires. Yeah. Oops. Sorry, something popped up. Were you on last night live? I was driving a ton and almost checked. Yeah, I was on last night. You know what, Rachel? You can watch it on my YouTube channel. If you go to my YouTube channel and click on the live tab, every live I do is on there too. So you never miss it. Yesterday we talked about new beginnings. Yesterday was new beginning. Today was more about grief and healing and shamanism. I've been told I was a tree. I believe an oak and something about shamanism. When you walk the red road, it is not easy. No, see, you're speaking now. Because that's one of the lives I'm going to do, is we're going to talk about the red road versus the black road. Yeah, it's not easy. Not easy, but it's worth it. Not your sister people that are trying to learn to be shaman and walk the red road. Oh. I'm not sure. It's not easy though. Neither of those things are easy. Shaman and red road. No. No. Oh, you're welcome, Sonia. You got your package. Yay. I'm so excited. I love it. I love dropping off your packages in the mail and getting little blessings out into the world. It's like the highlight of my day. Been told I was a tree. Oh, what I was going to tell you about the tree thing is that, yeah, everybody has been a tree at least 7 times. What is the red road exactly? I forgot what I need to do. Oh, go check your email. Did you get the email with the, I sent you an email, Sonia, about what to do, about what's in your packet and all that stuff. So check your email. What is the red road? The red road is the right road to be. It's the Indian way. It's the native road. It's how to return back to the original ways, the original self. You feel like you're always in a constant battle. Yeah. That's why it's really good to learn how to cleanse and protect and learn how to own your boundaries and know your boundaries. Because for me, if I get too tired and I feel that, I rest. I've learned from my past, I have to rest just as much because people think, oh, you're just sitting there, doing this. But it's like I was talking about the medium reading, it's extremely exhausting because you're going through dimensions. You're not just, talking to your friend on the phone. You're going through spiritual dimensions. And it's not easy on the body. The negative's always trying to get you to stop. I know. That's why I resisted technology. I'm surprised I'm still on here. I've been on here a while. Because a lot of times I'll get on this stuff and all my technology gets wonky. If it's not this, it's that. It's something. Something. Something's always going all funky. So and when that happens, I'm like, okay, I gotta go, guys. I can't help it. It's funky. It's like doing a triathlon. I don't know. It's not easy. It's not easy. And that's why you have to have physical stamina, spiritual stamina. You have to have the right mentors and the right support team. It's a whole thing. You have to write everything, because it takes a lot to be a healer. A lot. Forget about the monies and all that stuff. It takes a lot. And I feel very blessed on my path that I have been able to do this professionally for now over a decade. Where I haven't had a quote unquote job. Like this has been my job. And nobody I knew ever thought I would last this long. Everybody in my life has been like, "You're still doing it?" They like it's a passing fad or something, you know? Like, what the heck? Still doing that thing? I thought you were joking. Speaking of healing, can I ask what your necklace is? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So this one is a jet. This is jet. It was made by an artist. And there's actually a story behind this. This necklace, when I first moved to Sedona, and I have a crazy story. One day I'll tell my story. It's a long story, it's a crazy story. But when I first moved to Sedona, I had nothing, like zero, nothing. I didn't even know. It's a crazy story. So when I came to Sedona and within 3 days, everything I needed, I got a place to stay for me and my cat, an office to work out of, furniture for my office, and like clients, like just like a whirlwind of everything just came and said, "You're staying here." Right. And I was like, okay. So about a month I was in Sedona. It was a new moon. And I was guided to go across the street to the galleries. And this necklace was there. And the lady was like, "If you want that necklace, I'm going to make it happen." Because it was kind of expensive. And I was like, okay. And she like made it happen for me to get this. This is a one of a kind artist made heavy sterling, very beautiful piece. And it was on the new moon. And this is a symbol of the new moon and new beginnings. That was a whole write up that the artist made, that this was channeling and bringing in ancient new moon energies. It was Native American who made this. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. So whenever I wear this necklace, it reminds me of that time where spirit reminded me that from nothing, everything can manifest. Everything can manifest. That was a time where my faith was tested, my trust in the universe, everything. And it was my ancestors who just were guiding me. And I saw them all around me. Just every challenge I had, they just helped me get through it. I had so many challenges at that time. It was a crazy time in my life. And that's the necklace that reminds me that I can overcome it. And I'm going to send you that medicine too, that no matter the challenge, no matter the obstacle, you can overcome it. And there's a new beginning with every new moon. And Jet helps you to remove those negative energies and protection and all that stuff we've been talking about. Walking through it and seeing as it goes. Yeah. Oh, the Reiki symbols. Yeah. Oh yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah. 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 It's something. It's funny. I don't have most of my jewelry here, but it's one of the pieces I always travel with. Like it's a trend. Yeah. Yeah. That's what we were talking about last night on the live, was that this is a time for the new beginning. Now we have to think about it because we're just past this last full moon. The last full moon was the end of the Lunar New Year. So we're like in the energies of 2023. And then next month I study the Tonopoali, which is the Toltec calendar. Next month is going to be the real New Year. That's like when the calendar ends, and that's nature's New Year. That's when Mother Earth awakens, and we call it springtime. And so there's a 5-day window where you're supposed to just sit and meditate and pray and fast as you're changing from one year to the next. So we're kind of in the thick of what 2023 really is. And in the tonal quality, we're still in 2022. The kid I babysat was at my house and goes, you have lights all around your house, right? Oh, I love that. I say kids are so incredible. They really are. They see stuff. And when we listen, we're like, oh, most people just don't listen. I said, "You need lights?" He said, "No nights." Oh. The next day I saw a gas 333, a fox and a feather. Oh, ain't that something? Those are some great things. 333, a fox and a feather. That has a lot of meaning. There's going to be a new spiritual awakening. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're in it. We are in it. That's what me and my friend Zephy. I do YouTube videos with her. And we were just talking about that with this last full moon, how this next year is going to be like huge doorway of spiritual awakening. Like so many people are awakening. It's incredible. So we need all of y'all to start stepping into your healing gifts because we need help. The floods are it's opening. That's everybody's gifts are turning on, and I'm on a very old calendar. I know. We're all on an old calendar. That's why this calendar doesn't make sense, because it wasn't until I started studying the Tonopuali that I understood what the heck 2012 was about. Because remember in 2012, everybody said, oh, the Mayan calendar is the end, and whatever they said. That they said that's the end of time or something. That's not what the calendar said, because the calendar never ends. Anybody who really knows what that calendar is about knows that it doesn't end. It doesn't end. What they were talking about, and actually, I think it actually began in 1992 or something with some eclipse. That's what the calendar said, was that this began in the 90s. And it was the time of the end of one world and the beginning of another world. And we're right in the transition, but we're probably, all of us on this live, are never going to see the full breadth of this change, because it's a slow progressive change. But we're the change makers. We're the ones who are making the change to transition from this old world to this new world. And that's what a lot of the teachings especially here in North America, most of our indigenous teachings talk about that shift in some way, shape, and form. So I always thought it'd be cool to gather all the tribes together and then see who has what piece, because we all have different pieces of the story. I just got the attunements for 2 new Reikis. I had this want to be stronger in my Reiki. Yeah. That's really good, Kim. Yes. Yeah. There's a really good book. I think, hold on, let me see if it's this book that I'm thinking. Yeah, I think it's this book. It's called The Spirit of Reiki. There's a really good book. I think you'll like that book. Yeah, it's this book. Yeah, The Spirit of Reiki, From Tradition to the Present Fundamental Lines of Transmission. That book goes into deeper, what do you call it? Reiki techniques that they don't teach in Reiki. Yeah, like that book is really good. I did Reiki 1 and 2, and my Reiki 2 teacher, she had learned from this teacher in this book from Japan. And that Reiki that she taught me, that wasn't Reiki 2, it was like beyond Reiki 2, it was like a different form of Reiki, was the most powerful thing that I still use to this day. The things you learn, how to use your eyes, how to use your finger, like you learn deeper techniques. And when you use those techniques, they're powerful, like really powerful. So I would recommend that book if you want to go deeper into Reiki and really fine tune your gifts. That book is really good, The Spirit of Reiki. Yeah, it's amazing to see it in a vision during ceremony. Yeah, that's the truth. It's amazing to experience it. Yeah. See, the thing about ceremony is you go there to really experience it. That's like, we're talking about this book, right? And everybody always asks me, like, do you have a book on that? Or do you, and it's like, there's only so far a book can take you. At some point when you're ready, a ceremony will come into your life and you'll get to experience it, like what Soaring Eagle Woman is talking about. Yeah, that's the gift. When you can sit and experience spirit, not just read about it. Like, I think a lot of people in the 70s or 80s, they got really into the Carlos Castaneda books, and where he was talking about all of his experiences, or Timothy Leary, or those kind of things. But then it's like, at some point, those books are really good. Those teach you. The next thing is you want to learn it, you want to experience it, you want to see it for yourself. And that's when your life will change, is when you actually experience it. And that's what somebody was asking about Sedona. That's what my whole purpose is when I go back to Sedona, is to have you experience it. I had a customer tell me about Carlos books. I'm sure you did. Everybody I know is like, have you been? But, that's kind of the beginning, especially when I broke free from the tree. There's some incredible stuff. Thing about ceremony and stuff, and the medicine you learn, it's like so sacred. Nowadays, everything is called a ceremony. Like one time, a friend of mine in Sedona, she invited me to go to some, there's a restaurant there that's real popular for spiritual stuff. It's called The Chocolate Tree. It's a vegan place. And she's like, let's go to this ceremony. And I can't remember what it was. It was something like kombucha or something, like, something you don't even think about with ceremony. And she's like, it's like something ceremony. And I was like, oh, okay. I live in Sedona. So I'm like, okay, let's go. I was new, I think, at that time. And I went there and they were just serving little cups of this drink that was very expensive. I mean, it was like very expensive, a bottle of it. It tasted terrible. Usually when I taste something terrible like that, I at least have a journey. But it was like sour and terrible, but extremely expensive. And I was like, and all it was, he called it a kombucha ceremony. And all he called, it was really weird. And the whole ceremony was like trying to sell us this expensive $100 bottle of kombucha. And I was like, this is not a ceremony. Sorry. Sorry. And then my friend, she was like, I didn't know it was going to be like that. I was like, I'm not going to a ceremony with you, kid. Oh, goodness. So are the vortexes really there? I live in Arizona and I'm always hearing about the Sedona vortexes. Got trekked into an MLM. Oh no. Oh no, I'll tell you about my Young Living experience though. I love their oils, but goodness, those people get crazy. Okay. What I always say about Sedona and the vortexes, they are real. They're not like what they say they are. But yes, the electromagnetic energy in Sedona is off the charts. The whole thing is a vortex. But one time I was in a ceremony and I told my the guy, the medicine man, I said, I want to go into the ceremony and I want to know what is a vortex. And I was in Sedona. This was at my house. And I said, I want to know what a vortex is. And everybody looked at me like sideways. They're like, you live in Sedona, you don't know what a vortex is? I said, no, I know what everybody says a vortex is. I know what, is promoted. I'm not dumb. I know that. But I want to know straight from the source, what is a vortex? I want to go into grandmother and I want to know what the heck a vortex really is. I want her to show it to me. And so all kinds of strange things started to happen after that. Phone wouldn't work, this way. Everything went sideways when I asked that question. And when I went into the ceremony, it was like a 2-second answer. And the answer that I got is that a vortex, everybody thinks is like this. And she said, that's not what a vortex is. The vortex is more like this. That's what a vortex is. A vortex is kicking your booty. And it's clearing you out. That's what a vortex is clearing you out. That's why people go to Sedona. They go to get cleared out. They get clarity. They get direction. They get courage. They get wisdom. They get all those things. That's what a vortex is. I ended up on a Young Living farm in Idaho once. It was a lot. How about the lime line? I don't know how to spell it. What's a lime line? I ended up on a Young Living farm. I always wanted to go to that farm, but now I don't. I liked Young Living. I did Young Living oils like when I had a wellness center, and I just loved them. That's all I did. I still love Young Living oils. I have a lot of Young Living oils. I just didn't like the sales and the pushiness of it, and people get crazy because they make a lot of money off them oils. The people make a lot of money off oils, and then you're like, and then they start oiling everything, and they're overusing them, and they're extremely expensive. They are really good oils. Yeah, they are. I just don't like the structure of it. The MLM thing kind of kills it. How about the lime line? Oh yeah, I don't know what the lime line is. Are you talking about ley lines? Ley lines, maybe? Yeah, it's on a ley line. And there's different ley lines. Like Sedona will connect to Maui, which will connect to there's lots of like those, like go look at the map of ley lines and you'll see where they connect. But there's some incredible ley lines. And they connect, and there's I think they call them the dragon ley lines too. Yeah. If I have the ability, one day I'll figure out. We'll talk about ley lines and how they work, but Sedona is on a ley line, and that's why you're feeling all that energy there. Yeah, it's an incredible place. What it is now is like a Disneyland of spirituality. And that's like the first layer people see is the Jeep tours and the crystal shops and the fake psychics and the this and the that and the blah, blah, blah. All that is like the first layer of Sedona. That's Front Street. That's what we call Front Street. So if you see anything on Front Street, it's going to get you just on the surface layer of it. However, for those who want to go deeper, you're going to find what you need. And it's not where you can see it on Front Street. It's on Back Street, on the back road in the middle of nowhere, on the broken road that you have to travel and somehow find. That's the donut. Because all the stuff I do there, all the ceremonies I've done there, everything that I would do in Sedona, it wasn't like you could find it. You had to dig, or you had to be referred. It was word of mouth. Telepathy and animals. I used to be able to, but not sure what I need to clear that block. You need to clear the anxiety, baby. That's what it is. You have to clear the anxiety and do a spiritual practice and cleansing. I would start with the salt bath and clear and start clearing and talk like the shadow work we were talking about and all that stuff. Yeah. Because when you're younger, you didn't have it. As you got older, you have it. See? It's it's spiritual debris. That's what we're talking about, spiritual debris. And once you remove the spiritual debris, all that stuff starts turning on again. And the numbness, addiction, stuff like that. I was there for a gathering of the elders, and I was helping with the sweat lodges. Really? That might have been a while ago. Like, that's when I went to Sedona. Oh, really? What year was that? You're welcome. I'd like to know what year that was. There was a big problem with sweat lodges in Sedona before before my time. It was that guy from The Secret. I don't know, you probably heard about it. Where that guy was charging like $16,000, and he created this terrible sweat lodge. Oh, since 90s. Yeah, probably like in the 90s. I bet you there was some good stuff going on. Now it's hard to find a sweat. You can't do a sweat. But yeah, this guy was charging $16,000. He's some famous dude from The Secret. The movie The Secret? He goes to Sedona and he puts, yeah, you heard about it. He put a all wrong thing made of the wrong, like everything wrong. He's not native, so he did this for money. and people died. A lot of people died, and people almost died. Like, it was a really terrible event. And after that, the city of Sedona kind of shut that stuff down. It has to be like outside of Sedona. That's why there's no sweat lodges. The city of Sedona shut it down. And that sweat lodge that happened was actually outside of Sedona. It wasn't in Sedona proper. It wasn't in the city. It was outside of Sedona. And I don't ever go to that property. That property is a very well-known retreat center. I think it was just recently sold, so I don't know if it's still a retreat center, but I have always avoided that property because I can't even imagine the spirits and how they feel about what just happened on that land. And my friend was telling me she always goes up there for clearings, and the land is like needing some big healing from that because of what happened. It's a huge, disrespect and dishonor to the indigenous spirits and the people that died. They're going for there for healing, and they paid $16,000 for healing. And this man did that to these people, and then he just took off. He ran away, and he went to jail, and I think he was only jailed for like a couple years, and then he got out, and he's doing it again. He's not sweat lodges. I don't think he'll ever do a sweat lodge, thank God. But he is still doing like life coaching and whatever. It's crazy. Sweat lodge is very sacred, and it takes a lot of discipline, practice, and like what you have to have spirit. You have to be able to connect to spirits to do a sweat lodge. And that's something that you don't just easily, you can't just set it up and do it. It's not that way. A sweat lodge is sacred, and that's for special people to run. You have to be trained. You have to sit through thousands of sweat lodges to be really good at it. And it's just sad people just try to do that for money. Yeah, they forget about karma. They forget about their brains. There was a person pouring water in the wrong way, and I reported him to the elders. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's like part of the thing, right? It's just when people do stuff the wrong way and then you correct them, that's it. That's how we do it, right? I prayed for months with the white buffalo in Pennsylvania on the East Coast. Oh, that's cool. So one day we'll talk about the white buffalo. There's a really strong energy for these times we're living in. The white buffalo capital. And the white buffaloes that are being born right now in record numbers. All right. So we went all over tonight on our live. We went pretty deep. I like our group and our conversation. We went from grief to sweat lodges to ceremony to. Okay. All right. Now I know buffalo. Man, when you guys come to Sedona for ceremony, I'm going to show you my talking stick. It's made out of a buffalo rib. It's so powerful. I can't wait to do in-person ceremonies again because that's part of the medicine that I use. And I don't know. I miss it. My last fire ceremony was Lunar New Year of 2020 in February. And like a couple weeks after that, we had the global shutdown. And then I always think of that ceremony because that was the last ceremony. I was like, wow. And it was such a special ceremony. And so people who were at that ceremony always say, oh, I feel like, so special that I was there. And because after that, we didn't have no more ceremonies. It got shut down. I had to move on to this technology. I've been wanting to go to Sedona for years. I just haven't been able to get out there. Oh, I hope one day you can come and I'll be there. The timing works out, that'd be so cool. It's just like that's how it goes, And one of my clients before the global pandemic happened, he did a private ceremony with me, and he told me, he said, Songbird, I feel like I want to just absorb everything you do here and all the ceremony and all the energy, because I feel like there'll be a day one day you won't do this. And he was like he was prophesizing what was about to happen. He was one of the last private ceremony members. And I was like, wow, he was totally on the mark. He didn't want to leave. The fire was over and everything. He didn't want to leave. He's like, I just want to stay here as long as possible and absorb everything you're sharing with me. I was like, no, no. And then I was just like, no, no, I'm still here. When you go live, let me know so I can support you, please. Oh, thank you, Soaring Eagle Woman. I will. I'll let you know. I have to figure out the share thing. And I think I can share stuff, right? Because I see all this stuff. I gotta like look at it and stuff. Yeah, I see a share button. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for all your love and support too. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate all of you, and I'm so glad you're sitting in circle with me today. Is the big Buddha still there? Yeah, the big Buddha's still there. That's my favorite place too. One of my favorites is the stupa. So when we go to ceremony, we'll go to stupa because I can go there too. I have a permit. And there's certain places I can't go, but there's my favorite places I can go. But yeah, we can go different places, and there's a really cool labyrinth too. Well, yeah, we'll do it all. We'll do it all. Why not? We'll do it all. Oh, thank you, Lola. I love when you join. And I don't know, I'm really glad I got out of my resistance and started doing this stuff. And then my mom, she's so cool. She's like, yeah, just get on there. She's such a cool lady. She's always been, like somebody asked me if I lost my family when I became a shaman. And, my dad was my biggest nemesis because it was a part of him that I was expressing that he didn't like. This was supposed to be his path, right? He's supposed to step into his, because he comes from all the medicine men. It was supposed to be his path, and he didn't do it. So it became my path. And, he didn't talk to me for like 2 years, thought I was a witch. And he was very angry with me. And when we finally healed that relationship, after me just sticking with my path and just, showing I'm not a witch, or maybe I am, I don't know. But he's like, no, you don't want to see it. Yeah, he don't want to see it. He told me this is the healing. And my first teacher told me that this would happen. She said, one day your father will tell you why. And he did. He said, of course you're doing this work because of our ancestors. Of course you're doing this work. And then he became my biggest fan. He would tell everybody, he'd be like, my daughter does these incredible healings and this, and that. So that was the healing. And I think everybody, when you step into your path of authenticity, you're going to have that resistance. But my mom, she never was like that. She's always like, okay. She's just like, do it. And she'd do everything to support me. She'd bring me food. She helped me build my business. She did everything. She would stand at fairs and hand out flyers for people to come to my booth. My mom's awesome. She's always been my greatest supporter. Oh, I'm doing good. How are you, Esperanza? When you see my post, you may be surprised. I gotta go check out your posts and your lives. My mom said I was a bigger witch than she was. He just called you a witch to try to keep you off the path. Oh, your mom is so sweet. Yeah, she is. No, what my dad, his biggest dream for me growing up, he used to come home and tell me, you need to be a teacher or a nurse. That was my dad's biggest dream for me. Teacher and nurse. He said those were good, stable jobs. I was like, Dad, I can't be a nurse. I get like faint when I think of blood and all those like surgeries. Like for me, blood and that kind of like seeing guts and whatever, I can't do that. Nursing, you gotta be special to do that kind of work. I think those people are like living human angels. That's just incredibly hard work. I know. No. But teaching, I actually, I did become a teacher. I taught community college, I taught in Korea, I teach now, teaching. Okay. So I became a teacher, but not the type he wanted. He wanted me to go like work for the state and get a pension. My parents put me in the Catholic school and in this place called the Grail so I could become a nun. Really? Wow, ain't that fascinating? I told him I don't want to be a nun because nuns get nuns. And I want to be a mother. Buddy. You want you were like, my cat confirmed it. My cat's like, no. That's hilarious. Yeah, you want to be a mother. It's kind of hard to be a nun. Not Kiki. All right, everybody. So thanks for tuning in, man. We had a really great live tonight. I really enjoyed everybody. So here's our candle for today. And as we do our clearing and our blessing, what I invite you to think about is, clearing the heart space, everything we talked about, whatever has come up for you, whatever you're ready to release to begin tomorrow, whatever it is that you want help with from the spirit world. And as I light the candle, I want you to just take a moment to close your eyes, to clear and release, and allow the spirits now to cleanse your energy and to open your heart. And whatever you're ready to receive, pray for it. Imagine that it's already coming into existence, into fruition. Okay, so I'll take a nice deep breath in and out. Just breathing in and out. And this song is by Jaya Lakshmi and Ananda. They're a kirtan group. And it's called This Is the Day. And so we'll just allow the flame to start burning here. It's kind of a low flame, so let's give it more energy, more love, more light. Just breathe in and out and just take a moment to close your eyes. Oh, we need to relight that. Let's see if we can get some of those blockages removed. Ooh, there's like a big release happening here. Okay. So if after this candle blessing, you want to cry or release energy, do it. Because there's a lot of like resistance and blockage there. Hear that? Be free to feel who you really are. This is the day to feel free, to feel free to be who you are. And that's what we're really talking about tonight, is what blocks us from being who we are. The shadows that we're ready to heal. Could be. The light and the beauty of who you are. With the incense, when it burns out, or the sage, it means that it's completed. It's a little different. But when a candle does that, there's something. You look at that flame now, it's going after it was released. And I don't know if I show you, but that's what was released. That big glob. That's what we released today. That's the heart. Because the candle is just a representation of the energy. It's like, what is blocking you in love? Love of yourself, love of family, love of community, love for the world. What? See, do you see that? What is blocking your path of freedom? That's what we're releasing. And it'll be different for everybody. The spirit. The spirit is talking to us. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and ask. If you release a person or my heart, that's good. Just keep talking until I get it. I'll get it. But yeah, sometimes it might be a person that you need to release. If that person hurt you, or if they're dead and gone, nobody will ever be completely gone. But whatever is hindering your growth and harming you or not allowing you to move forward, that's what you can release. But I know a lot of times we get afraid to lose somebody or let them go, or we're forgotten or they're forgotten. But it's more about accepting where you are and what has happened and releasing the harmful or toxic energies that are stopping you from a productive future. I hope that answers your question. This is actually a really deep question you're asking. There's so many layers and levels to it. And this will help you to begin that process. And see, now the flame is getting bigger because of that glob that we just let go of. So it's like the painful parts of our past become the stepping stones to a beautiful and bright future. And they fuel our life purpose and our destiny and what we're here to do. So never be afraid. Never hide from the pain of your past, but instead use it and embrace it and let it be your power for who you are now and who you're becoming. So you can be who you really are. And that's tonight's blessing. So I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. Are you letting them completely go? It depends on you. You want to let them go? Are you ready to let them go? That's the real question. Yeah. And so as you go to bed tonight and you absorb these energies, if you have any dreams or insights or coincidences or synchronicities, write them down. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me too, Kim. It's so great to see you. And Soaring Eagle Woman and Lola and everybody, Rachel, everybody who's come on, new and those who have been around. I'll be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I really appreciate the deep conversations we had tonight. It was a really beautiful night. So thank you so much. Love and blessings until we meet again. You're welcome.